It wasn't very fly of Aviator. True. Oh, Leia's just like rolling around on the ground and rubbing her head on everything, and it's both the cutest thing ever, but also like just hilarious to watch her do. Oh yeah, Gosu, they're the cutest. That's why I can't get out of bed some days. They're too cute. So we see greed across the board. Greed across the board, a little bit interesting. That being said, I'm not surprised. Greed is by far the most quote-unquote common option for most people at this point. That being said, we've got villain, press the attack, and creditor. So we've got a kind of a combination here. We've got an offensive spell, a income spell, economy spell, and a defensive spell in the villain. So we see a couple different options across the board. We do see SSP does have potential for a villain role. He does drop the Nightmare in Want of the Bounty Hunter instead. Interesting to see Aviator and SSP both going for a Bounty Hunter option. That being said, Aviator's build's a little bit interesting to me. This style of setup, I don't know how it will hold. That being said, we get 3-worker start on both Aviator and SSP, going into a 4-worker. We do get 20s across the board here, so we go 4-worker on everybody, it seems. Aside from SSP actually did not get a send here. So we'll kind of see how it goes. Offma and Lucy both go 5-worker, which makes a lot of sense, right? If you see Offma and Lucy's builds, the 5-worker makes a lot of sense. He can still go 4-worker. He does need to send the snail, though, to get the 4-worker in turn. Actually, the 4-stack cat. We do see this setup of a Peewee down and to the right now of the flower. I've seen a couple times now this style setup. It's kind of neat. We do see SSP going for the option of a second angler, or I should say an angler, to start kind of gaining some stacks, right? The hope is that you have that thing 75 stacked by about wave 6, right? So you can get an upgrade if need be on wave 7 or something of the sort. That's at least always my goal, right? You want to try to get those things stacked as quick as possible. No send into Aviator here. SSP staying on 4-worker still so far. I'm interested to see if he goes 5. Aviator did go 5-worker with this setup. So Offma going 6-worker. Offma is pushed extremely hard. And Offma is not going to get the Peewee upgrade. He's going to go for a Daphne in the Ranger. So we'll kind of see how this goes. Double snail out of Offma into Aviator here. I don't see that leaking Aviator. Aviator is much too good of a player to leak to just a simple double snail, but we'll kind of see. We do see the Seraphim coming out of SSP here. I think that in turn is why he did not push to 5-worker. He wanted to make sure he himself is safe, especially due to the fact that he got a send last wave of 40, and his teammate, on the other hand, did not get sent. Right? You want to try to cover your teammate's weak waves. Aviator does look like he's going to leak small here. Leak small or full hold, I can never tell. Doesn't look like the mask is going to hold here. Aviator now on 7 workers. Not surprising, I would guess, wager. Aviator does like to push, and he is very efficient with his pushes. We do see the send coming in to Lucy here by Aviator. Just a DT. We do see the double snail out of Lucy into our boy SSP. Should be just a pretty easy hold with the Devilfish added, right? Devilfish now tanking for the Bounty Hunter and Angler on the right-hand side. Pretty nice setup, actually, by SSP. We do see another Angler out of Aviator. So we've got 3 Anglers down here. Pretty interesting overall to have a triple Angler on wave 4, though Anglers are actually pretty decent value early game, right? People often underappreciate how good they actually are early. That being said, how is Aviator going to hold here? We do see a Brute coming in from both Offma and Lucy, in an attempt to, I'd imagine, destroy the setups that are kind of building here. I would imagine that Aviator wanted to get... Oh no, he goes Pilgrim here. Interesting. I was going to say, I'd imagine he wanted to get like a Grarl or something, but the Pilgrim makes sense. Does he hold? I'm not sure. He's getting really good split right now. He has 5 units that were taking aggro there, taking damage. So, not bad whatsoever. That being said, it does not look like Aviator's holding. He will get closer than I would have imagined. And SSP, on the other hand, I believe does hold. SSP is actually really strong, being that he stayed low value-wise, or low worker push and high value, to ensure some of these holds. He will get another pop out from the gate guard, and I think that in itself will guarantee the hold now down bottom. No leaks due to the double DT going into Offma. Offma was able to get a Harb here. I think that in itself is pretty scary. We do see, interestingly enough, Aviator sending a Drake on 6. I don't know if the Drake inherently is a good play into the Harb, or what, potentially was a Harb build. But it's an interesting one nonetheless, and I like to see some of these more nuanced choices, I should say. I personally don't do some of these sends, builds, etc., and it's nice to see some variety, right? I'm very curious to see, though, how this goes, because having double Angler traditionally has been a bad idea. Traditionally, double Angler was seen as a kind of a throw, in a certain sense of the word, because you're building together to have weak waves, right? Now, their extra units are a little bit stronger in their own rights, right? One of them is going to be a lot stronger on differing waves because of the fact that we've got SSP and Aviator having different T1 setups, different roles, obviously. But the Anglers primarily are their majority value, right? And that, I think, in itself is kind of interesting. We do see the sends coming out here of double Brute. Offma sending 2 Brutes into our boy Aviator. Canopy, I think, makes the most sense, mostly because it is a good tank and decent DPS. But double Brutes coming in by both Offma and Lucy into the double Anglers. This is going to be a close one. I'm actually a little bit concerned for SSP and Aviator here. Double Brutes, as we all know, friends are strong on this wave. And I think this is inherently going to be scary. So it doesn't look like SSP is holding. Nor does Aviator hold. Aviator had a good split, but I don't think it's enough. The Canopy just not surviving. No. Yeah, I'm not sure what their plan was here. I kind of anticipated the Wave 7 send into both of them, right? Like, and if you don't have something that can stop the Brute spam, I mean, you're kind of just bending over and taking one there. Let's see, though. SSP and Aviator do have quite a bit of Mythium saved up. We do see a Drake coming in again out of Aviator. interestingly enough. I don't think Drake is the best send into Lucy, but, you know, it's a send. So we'll kind of see what happens here. We do not see the we could see the upgrade potential of either of the bounty hunters, I guess, for next wave out of Aviator and SSP. That being said, they're just down overall, right? Like, Aviator and SSP are down on workers. They're both going to be, relatively speaking, pretty weak on the same waves again. If they send big next, I mean, they're looking kind of a little bit scary. I'm not sure if the Drake will leak him here, and I don't think it will. Lucy's actually in a pretty good position to hold with Lord of Death down. That being said, Lucy's a little bit bad on 10, but Offma's really good 10 at this point. So it's not like they can send together there. Aviator and SSP do income send here. Do we see a Kingpin out of either of them? It does seem like this is the time to go for them. We see a Hunter stack, baby Kingpin on SSP. This is their power spike, right? So let's see if they can kind of come back into this game right now. So we see instead the Lost Chieftain coming out of Aviator. Never mind, goes for the Kingpin instead. Okay, so Kingpin out of both of them. I think this is probably the right play. Aviator and SSP are both starting to kind of fall behind in terms of value. Again, this is why you traditionally don't want to go double angler. So we'll kind of see what happens here. Looks like to be a pretty easy hold out of Offma here. And now Offma and Lucy are both at 12 and 14 workers respectively. So both pushed pretty hard. So the question comes now, what do you do? We see SSP going for the second Kingpin now. And we see Aviator going for the second Kingpin. Interesting. I don't dislike this. Obviously, they're bad on this wave, and if they were to get a big send with only a single Kingpin, if they were to get Brooded down, Ogred down, whatever it may be, it would be a pretty big leak out of both of them. Excuse me, guys. Heading on there. So we do see double 4 eyes coming out here on wave 11. I think this makes the most sense to go for a big send here on 11, especially with press the attack available, and press the attack obviously being a pretty susceptible thing to go for if the enemy team is potentially going to leak there to a large save, which that is what we're seeing at this point. SSP and Aviator have good value, if you think of it like that, but still very much a scary situation for them to be in. Just because, at the end of the day, like, they don't have much to stop something like a 4 eyes from kind of busting down their door and taking them out. You know, FBI open up is the joke, but it seems similar to what's going to happen here. The Kingpins might be able to hold the gates for a little bit, but being forced to take double villain and the enemy team going double press the attack definitely makes things a little bit scary. I think the King spell here by Aviator and SSP makes a lot of sense. I think it's kind of showcasing the need here for some value. I do like the LOD here by SSP. It kind of does give you a little bit more value out of the snail spam. That being said, looks like 4 creeps in the 4 Eyes coming through from SSP, an 80% leak. Very close to killing the 4 Eyes here out of Aviator. Aviator actually did a phenomenal job. But if you would have killed the 4 Eyes here, that's 2 creeps and a lizard. You take that every day. Though, that being said, that was a long save out of Offma and Lucy. So if there is any positive here, it's that there was a gap there where SSP and Aviator got quite a big chunk of income advantage. That being said, you look at Offma and Lucy's worker push, 17 and 19 respectively. Kind of throwing SSP and Aviator through a little bit of a loop here. SSP and Aviator pushing pretty hard, but that being said, you look at the value across the board, SSP and Aviator only have a 300 gold advantage, and that 300 gold is well over sitting in the coffers of Offma and Lucy. So at this point, SSP and Aviator are definitely behind in this game. The long save didn't kill them, but their income's lower, their worker push is lower, and we're kind of seeing it now. Even now, if you look, SSP and Aviator don't have Mythium in reserve either, so they're going to be down in almost every front at this point. So I'm interested to see how they pull this one back, right? Can the age-old long-term player duo and SSP and Aviator both have many hours in the game take down the newcomers in Offma and Lucy? Can they find a way back into this game? It's currently not looking too great. Offma is going for a surprise Doomsday. Oh, that is beautiful. Just throw him through a loop and just say, what are you going to do now? There's not a whole lot. Lucy is boosting here and goes for the Hades. So I think they think that they need to hold here on 13, which I don't disagree with. I think that this is kind of a deciding wave, right? That being said, I don't think the boost is necessary, especially when your teammate's got something like a Doomsday already going. But, to each their own. I don't think that, 15 gold really makes too much of a difference in the long-running look at things. I'm curious to see how SSP and Aviator hold here to a no-send. This, I think, is indicative of how the game's going to go in the next couple seconds here. We do see an Ocean Templar coming out. I think that makes a lot of sense. Ocean Templar is going to make these guys a little bit stronger on this wave, potentially, and next. And then we're also going to start seeing things like the head shed out, which gives both the Kingpins pretty good value overall. Double Disciple here, doubling down on a little bit more damage, I think is not necessarily a bad idea out of SSP. We do see sends coming across the board. Ogre, Brute, so a double friend send out of SSP. Pack, Mole out of Aviator. We do see our boy Offma going into a Red Eyes. So I don't think the double friend send will be enough, if I'm being honest. It does seem like the Doomsday is going to do Doomsday things and wreak havoc across the land. And yeah, SSP is not even getting close. Aviator, on the other hand, is getting a leak out of Lucy here. So, there's something to be gained here. Let's see how our boys over here on this side of the pond are doing. It looks like Aviator is holding. SSP leaks quite a lot. So I think that's potentially game. Let's see here. No, I don't think this will be game, but definitely hurts them very bad. We are getting some king damage from Aviator and SSP here. So some value gained back. Is there a way here? So let's see. We do see that SSP and Aviator, yeah, they do come back a little closer now with the gold gained from leaks. It's not phenomenal, but it works for them. So we'll kind of see how it goes. We do see Aviator starting to build some Hellgates, which to me is probably their best bet at holding here. Lucy and Offma, though, have quite the insane worker push at this point. 29 and 26 respectively. They are quite low here, though. So are they a little too eager to get that worker push to finish out the game, right? Because that's what I worry about. Offma, while he does have, you know, some decent units for this wave and next, I think he might just leak to a no-send here, to be honest. He might have just overstayed his welcome a little bit with his worker push. We will see all the creeps die, it seems. Maybe not even that. Yeah, so Offma leaking to a no-send here. 42%. I think this might be an interesting blunder, right? We see the question mark pings coming in, unaware of what team sent them. But I think that does kind of tell you everything you need to know about Aviator and SSP's thought process. I think now we'll see the sends coming in. Yep, Aviator and SSP, sends coming out. Offma and Lucy also going in for the sends here. I think this wave could be it. The pack leader of Offma, pack 4 Eyes. We're seeing some king damage here even out of Offma and Lucy's leak situation, giving some gold over the enemy team. We do see a 4 Eyes and pack, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. That in itself, that little leak there by Offma changes this game tremendously. We do see the white main come out of Lucy. Lucy's not in a terrible situation to hold if you look at the overall units they have. But negative 680, negative 810, like Offma and Lucy might have thrown away this game. Aviator and SSP are currently sitting in a much better position in terms of value, and the sends are going to be obviously much larger out of Offma and Lucy, but Aviator has double gate. Like, that in itself is crazy good delay, and should be able to keep them alive. If neither Offma or Lucy can hold here, I don't see them delaying longer than Aviator, though Aviator might not get enough out of this. Offma leaking big. Lucy also leaking. Are the gates going to delay long enough? No. The gates won it. What an absolute blunder. FC, Team FC absolutely threw away this game. They had it completely under their control. Completely under their control, and threw the game away with this big push on wave 14. You do not need to push that hard. You need to make sure that you can hold 15 nonetheless. That is just tragic if you're Offma and Lucy. I understand the want to push, right? I understand that you see the gates, you see that, you know, they're weak 16, but I think you just play it safe. You don't need to push this hard and leak on 15. Like, the leak 15 showcased your weakness and gave the enemy team free reign to send you 16, which, while yes, you're strong with the flowers, you are still horribly weak there. I'm kind of blown away, very stunned that SSP and Aviator pulled that one out. It was very close, obviously. SSP and Aviator also were losing health there at the end. It was very much a race. But I think no matter what, if SSP and Aviator had not gotten the extra gold from the leak on 15, the extra time to also send, I don't think they would have won that. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, let's get on to the next one, guys. I don't think Offma and Lucy played that badly. I think their decision making is what got them in the end, right? The decision to push too hard on 14 Sen while being undervalued for 15 then just kind of killed them. I don't think there's really any other way to say it. It threw them under the bus and killed them. You need to make sure you hold on 15, especially if you want to go for the win 16, if you're bad 16 as well. It's not like they had full king at that point, right? It's not like they had full king. It's not like they have anything of that sort, and they just threw the game. They threw the game away. Nothing else really to it.